Let's talk about something that can be absolutely terrifying for any pet owner. But I promise you, understanding what's going on is the key to keeping your best friend safe. We're going to dive into the truth about cannabis toxicity in dogs.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You walk into your living room and you find your dog just swaying. They look totally dazed. And when they try to walk over to you, they're so unsteady they look almost like they're drunk.
And then you notice they're leaking urine without even realizing it. It is a terrifying moment, right? Your heart just starts pounding and your mind is racing with questions. Is it a stroke? Did they eat something poisonous? What on earth do I do?
Well, in the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly what could be causing these bizarre symptoms, the really specific signs of cannabis toxicity to look for, and how your vet can help your best friend get right back to their happy, normal self.
You know that scary scene I just painted? It's not some rare, isolated incident. What's actually happening is a rapidly growing concern for vets and pet owners pretty much everywhere.
I mean, just look at this number. Calls to the pet poison helpline about this very issue have shot up by more than 400% in just the last 6 years. That is a massive jump, and it's no coincidence. It lines up directly with the increased availability of cannabis products.
So what is cannabis toxicity? Well, it happens when a pet eats or inhales enough THC, that's the psychoactive part of the plant, to completely overwhelm their nervous system. A good way to think about it is like a computer that's just been hit with a huge power surge. The signals are all still there, but they're scrambled and firing in ways the body just can't handle.
But you might be wondering, why are dogs so much more affected by this than people are? Well, it all comes down to their unique brain chemistry. Dogs have way more cannabinoid receptors in their brains, especially in the part that controls balance and coordination. And that just makes them incredibly sensitive to THC's effects. And when you look at the numbers, it's crystal clear which pets are most at risk. Dogs make up an overwhelming 96% of all cases. And that makes sense, right? They're naturally curious, they have that amazing nose, and, let's be honest, they have that scavenger instinct that sometimes leads them to eat things they definitely shouldn't.
But even among dogs, the risk isn't quite the same. Small breeds, as you can probably guess, are especially vulnerable. For them, even a tiny piece of a high-potency edible can be a huge dose. And then you have the dogs who'd get into things like brownies or other edibles. They're facing a double whammy, because they could also be dealing with chocolate or even xylitol poisoning at the exact same time.
Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to help more pets live healthier, happier lives. Okay, now let's get into the most critical part, the specific signs you might actually see at home if your dog has been exposed.
All right, here are the top 5 things to really watch for. First, and this is the most common, is the drunk walk. Vets call it ataxia. They'll just look super wobbly and uncoordinated. Second, urinary leaking. A lot of dogs will dribble urine without having any control over it. Third is a really weird startle reflex. They might seem sleepy, but then they'll jump or totally overreact if you touch them or make a noise. Fourth, take a look at their eyes. You'll often see these glassy, kind of spaced out eyes with really big pupils. And finally, number 5, their body temperature often drops, so they might actually feel cold to the touch.
Okay, so seeing those signs is definitely scary, but the next step is simple. Get help. So let's demystify what a trip to the vet actually looks like in a situation like this.
Let me be as clear as I can be about this. Your veterinarian's office is a no-judgment zone. We are not the police. Our one and only goal is to help your pet feel better. Any worries you might have about legal stuff should never, ever stop you from getting them the care they desperately need.
And that leads right to this point. Your honesty is the single most powerful tool we have to help your dog. If you know or even just suspect they got into something, telling us right away saves your pet from a bunch of unnecessary, stressful, and expensive tests. It lets us jump straight to the right treatment.
So what's actually going to happen at the clinic? Well, it's pretty straightforward. First, you'll just give us that honest history. Then, the vet will do a physical exam, checking their heart rate, reflexes, temperature. And finally, they might suggest some tests, like blood work or a urine test, but that's mainly to rule out other dangerous things that can cause similar signs, like antifreeze.
So, once we know what we're dealing with, what does that road to recovery look like? Let's talk about the treatment and, most importantly, the outlook.
And here it is. This is the single most important thing I can tell you. The prognosis for cannabis toxicity is excellent. Fatalities are incredibly, incredibly rare. With the right care, the vast majority of dogs make a full and complete recovery.
So what does a typical recovery look like? Well, the signs usually pop up within about 1 to 3 hours of exposure. With some good supportive care at the vet, most dogs are showing huge improvement within 24 hours. And within 1 to 3 days, they're pretty much back to their old tail-wagging selves.
Now, there isn't a magic antidote, so treatment is all about supportive care. That usually means IV fluids to keep them hydrated and support their blood pressure. If they ate it recently, we might give them activated charcoal, which basically acts like a sponge to soak up the toxin in their stomach. And for really severe cases, there's even a special IV treatment called lipid therapy that can literally pull the THC out of their tissues so they wake up faster.
When you boil it all down, the goal of all these treatments is really simple. It's all about keeping them safe, keeping them warm and comfortable in a quiet space, while their own body does the work of clearing the drug. It's a supportive process, and it works incredibly well.
So if there is just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. If your dog suddenly starts stumbling and leaking urine, stay as calm as you can. Be completely honest with your veterinarian about anything they might have gotten into, and just know that with a little help, your best friend is going to be just fine.
And that leaves us with one final thought. As these products become more and more common in our world, is your home truly pet-proofed for the risks we face today? Remember, this information is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional veterinary advice. If you have any concerns about your pet's health, please consult with your certified veterinarian. They are your best resource for ensuring your companion lives a long, happy, and healthy life.